turns out Donald Trump was right. Again, the Democrats were spying on him, not just as a presidential candidate, but as President of the United States. The Clinton campaign paid for a technology company to infiltrate and spy on Trump's computer servers, according to Special Counsel John Durham's investigation. Yes, Hillary Clinton's campaign spied on President Trump in his home in Trump Tower and, incredibly, in the White House. Now, this would only be not only unethical, but highly illegal and has been described as a national security disaster. My next guest is a columnist and author of several books, including The Permanent Coup. Lee Smith joins me now from Charleston in South Carolina. Lee, while most in the media have ignored this story, others have likened it to Watergate. What's your opinion of the spying operation against President Trump?
Yeah, thanks very much for inviting me on. Great to be with your audience. There's actually no comparison between this and Watergate. Watergate is a political scandal, and while disastrous for the United States political system half a century ago, what we're talking about with what we call Spygate, Obamagate, many other different names, this is a national security scandal, as you referred to. There's something that's not being reported entirely clearly here in the United States. The fundamental fact is not that the Clinton administration paid for this tech executive to gather information regarding the Donald Trump transition team, the Donald Trump campaign, and the Donald Trump presidency, but that this person was working for the Obama White House. That's the key right there. This is much larger than the Clinton campaign. Unfortunately, this has not been entirely clear to people as they're reporting this in the United States. This guy was working in the Obama White House doing different things with their internet servers. And so that's exactly what was going on. It's an enormous issue. And the scandal is much larger than we thought it was. I've been reporting this story for 5 years. I've spoken, I know very well all the different congressional investigators who were working on this case for the last 5 years, and everyone is shocked by the scope of this right now.
Well, why isn't it then the biggest story in the country, the biggest story in the world? It certainly would be if Trump was accused of this type of behaviour. And what are the ramifications for President Obama if this spying can be linked directly back to him or his administration?
Well, I mean, the spying this is one thing. We've known that it wasn't just the Clinton campaign, that it was the Obama administration. The Obama administration was actually unmasking different members of the Trump transition team, in particular, retired General Michael Flynn, who is the incoming national security advisor. We also know that the now president of the United States, Joe Biden, had recommended that Michael Flynn be prosecuted under an entirely obscure law called the Logan Act. So we've known this for a while. What happened over the last week is we have more detail on this, and we understand now the broader scope. Because another part of this story that's very important for people to understand is that the Clinton campaign lawyer who was gathering this information that had been put together by the tech executive working in the White House, this person took it to the CIA, right? The CIA, of course, is not supposed to be working domestically. And what I believe happened, because this was a constant throughout the Russiagate operation, was that they looked for different ways to insert information back into the intelligence services. What I believe is pretty clear. What happened is they provided this information to the CIA. The expectation was the CIA would then turn it around and give it back to the FBI or push it into the DOJ. That's the way this operation has worked from the very beginning, 2016. I assume that's what happened here too, but we're waiting for more details on this now. The important fact is this, again, it's not just the Clinton campaign. It's not simply a political scandal. This is an intelligence community scandal. This is a scandal that is also tied to the Barack Obama administration. It's enormous. We have never seen anything like this in the United States before. There is no comparison. Watergate compares not in the least to what we're seeing happen right here.
That's just frightening. And you mentioned the intelligence agencies there. Have they been just hopelessly politicised and compromised?
Politicized is probably, I mean, we can talk about the press in this way too. It's not a matter of politicization. It's not a matter of partisanship. What we've seen is an enormous, what we have called here for the last several years after the example of Turkey and Pakistan, what we've called the deep state. What we're basically talking about is a large structure. Another way to talk about it is in terms of an oligarchy, right? Talking about corporate interests, talking about political interest, which is deeply tied into the intelligence service as well. So that's what's happening. It's not just a matter of partisanship. People prefer Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden to Republican candidates. There are actual, important, significant corporate interest, financial interests at stake. And that's what's been happening here in the United States for at least the last 5 years. And that's what the anti-Donald Trump campaign is about. It's largely an intelligence operation. Goes far beyond politics.
Well, a lot of these theories were considered just wild conspiracy theories not long ago, and now we're starting to get data and evidence that's backing this up. So was Donald Trump right all along that the deep state, as you call it, was against him and they were not going to rest until his presidency was not just undermined but destroyed?
Yeah, it's not just a matter of Donald Trump being right or wrong. What's happened is, again, to come back to the media is the platform for information operations. Again, something not clearly understood yet in the United States, right? When people talk about the press being the enemy of the people, or people talking about the press being too partisan, too left-leaning, it's not like that at all. What we're seeing is it's a third world information ministry, right? Like we're talking about the Middle East, we're talking about Syria, we're talking about Egypt, we're talking about Iran, we're talking about Libya. This is what's happening here. It's not about a partisan press. It's part of a large-scale information operation in which the information ministry, aka the media, is wedded to the intelligence or security apparatus. That's what we're seeing. So again, it's not a matter of Donald Trump being right or wrong. It's a matter of the information ministry making sure that the information that comes out that is available to the public obscures what they've been doing. So of course, Donald Trump has been right for the last 5 years. What happened? The fact is, how much can the press block this? And what we're seeing right now is if there will be some penetration, if what actually happened will get through now to ordinary Americans, and if they will start to understand what happened to their country, what our intelligence services, what our media, and what our political operatives have done to the United States of America. That's the question, not whether or not Trump is correct, but what kind of penetration we'll see over the coming weeks and months and maybe years. And the best way to get that information out there is to have not only indictments, but convictions, right? Because in that way, the press, the media will have to explain why its allies, why its sources, why its colleagues, why the people it loves and admires and lionizes, why they're in orange jumpsuits and why they're going to jail. That's what has to happen for this information, for the facts to penetrate and get through to the American public.
Lee Smith, we thank you for your insights, and we'll keep an eye on this story, certainly, and hopefully we'll speak to you again. Thanks for your time this evening.
Thank you.